Welcome back to You Be the Judge. Our guest today is a candidate for state representative in the 111th Legislative District in Pennsylvania, who sees a problem in his hometown and home communities and wants to address it. The problem he sees is the lack of government oversight on the gas and oil drilling companies that have come here and offered us such great wealth. Jeff, when we spoke before, you talked about how it impacts the food chain, the hunters. Mm-hmm. We were up in a community called Leroy in Bradford County, where they had a blowout. And you know, the well blew with the exact same part that failed in the Gulf of Mexico with a BP disaster, a blowout preventer. And fracking fluid was blowing 20 feet in the air. It was all over these fields. And when you drove up there, and I was up there with Josh Fox, who was filming it, there were 50 to 60 head of cattle in the field eating the grass with frack fluid all over it, drinking from streams that had been polluted. And I often wondered after that day whether my grandchildren drank any of the milk that was produced by those cattle, dairy cattle, who were drinking that frack fluid in the grass and eating it in the grass, and what the Department of Agriculture is doing to make sure that our food supply is not compromised by these problems. The same university, Cornell, did a study very recently on the problems with dairy cattle associated with fracking, and talking about the problems with dairy cattle dying, having stillbirths. We have a friend who owns a kennel up in the Bradford County area, who's having really an impossible time because all of her female dogs are not getting impregnated, and they're very expensive dogs. They're Newfoundlands, and she's having a heck of a time. She's found arsenic in her water. It's sad. What do you see the state's role in trying to regulate this is?
Take action, I think, is the first thing. You don't see the state in a coordinated effort working together to help these people. If you have a problem, say you go to your state representative. Your state representative should be able to coordinate everything for you to eliminate the bureaucracy that's out there, because there's a lot of different organizations that are involved in this entire process. Not saying that these organizations have any of the answers, because we don't know what's going on, and it's set up that way through the oil and gas industry, basically working to write the laws, write their own regulations, it would seem. So, you know, who do you turn to? You turn to the DEP. The DEP refers you to the Department of Agriculture. You turn to the Department of Agriculture. They may refer you to the Susquehanna County River Basin Commission. So it's this endless circle as a citizen of who do I turn to, when the one person that you should be able to turn to is your state representative, and they should have the answers and know how to coordinate it. I think the bottom line is the people in Harrisburg need to pull it together. Basically, put a stop on everything right now, figure out what's going on in this industry, and I hate to say start from scratch because we're already into it, but figure out exactly what is happening to their communities and start working for the people that put them into office. Like you said, people from Texas and Oklahoma aren't voting citizens of our area. They have little to no investment in what happens to our fields and streams, our people, our animals. So putting the responsibility on the people that we elect to make sure that things are done right in these areas, I think that's the most important thing.
I make no mistake about it. I don't begrudge people from other states coming in here and working, particularly those with expertise and heavy equipment and everything. But what we're promised was all of these great jobs, and the fact of the matter is the best jobs are going to people from out of state. We were promised this great wealth, but the fact of the matter is by the time we get done cleaning up this mess after the gas companies, we will spend as much money as we did in the coal industry, cleaning up after them as we got out of the ground. And the only winners will be the gas industry.
Exactly.
That's a fact of life. There's nothing sadder than to go into someone's home and see their water come out of their tap black and dirty and gritty. We have one client whose well has been contaminated, and he couldn't take a shower. He turned on the shower and everything came out black, and he was covered with mud, and his wife had to put cold water over him. You go to another home and there's a 75-year-old man who's lived there all his life, and they've been kind enough to give him 5 gallons of water. Well, he was a frail man. To lift up a 5-gallon bucket to put it into a machine to pour the water was a huge job for him. I mean, water is something that we take so much for granted. And hopefully the people in Wayne County will be protected.
And I think we can't rely on a public utility. So, water isn't a public utility for everyone in these areas. We're talking about, a rural area in Pennsylvania where a lot of people rely on their wells. And when you take that away, I mean, we're made up of water. Water is essential for everything. And when you take that away from us and don't give us another option, what's going to happen next? You can't survive without that.
There's constitutional amendment to the Pennsylvania Constitution, Article 25, guarantees us clean air and fresh water. Ladies and gentlemen, that constitutional amendment has been absolutely denigrated, not by the oil and gas industry, mind you, but by state representatives who sat on their hands and not protected your constitutional rights. I know you're a strong advocate of the Second Amendment, so hunters can go out and own firearms and own ammunition and hunt as much as they want. But by the same token, that article of the Pennsylvania Constitution that guarantees fresh air and clean water is extremely important, is it not?
It is. It is very important.
And I see also in pondman ponds next to schools, and you wonder what's going to happen to the kids who are breathing the air that's being evaporated up when they're out on that playground. What health problems is that going to cause from the standpoint of asthma and other lung diseases? Clean Air Council has been up here and doing a terrific job. But where do you hear your state representatives at all talking about anything the least bit critical of the gas industry?
You don't hear it at all. You do not hear no comment to the positive or the negative. There's basically no comment. I would challenge you to find many state representatives in any of the articles that you may read, or say Gasland, for example. There was a perfect opportunity for representatives to speak in that film, and I'm hoping that perhaps Mr. Fox will get in his next film somebody from our area to speak on behalf of, or to him on behalf of our citizens and explain their role in the process. But you very rarely will see anybody in the area talk to the press or be quoted on either side of it.
And unfortunately, when our citizens discuss the problems, frequently they're criticized by their neighbors. This industry has turned neighbor against neighbor and has made life in the gas fields very, very difficult. When we come back, Jeff, I want to wrap up with some of your thoughts as to what you think you can accomplish as a state representative in the 111th Legislative District. So please stay tuned to You Be the Judge. Hi, I'm Todd O'Malley with the law offices of O'Malley & Langen. If I say the phrase life-changing experience, what do you think? Getting married, having a baby, buying a home, all good things. I'll bet you didn't think work injury. And that's a problem with our society. People don't realize a work injury can change everything. Destroy your earning power, hurt your family, and damage your health. If you're hurt on the job, call O'Malley and Langen, 1-800-817-COMP.